It's 3 o'clock, 3:01 to be precise, 12th of May 2021. We are meeting with a celebrity of sorts, Mr. Sanchayan Jana. The topic of today's meeting is bartending, various aspects of bartending. I am very grateful to Mr. Sanchayan Jana for agreeing to speak to our students in this meeting. And I'm thankful to Mr. Abhinav Sharma for having arranged this meeting.
Thank you so much, sir.
Let us start today's meeting with a prayer to the Almighty that today's meeting goes on smooth and uninterrupted, that all the attendees of today's meeting leave the meeting richer than they came.
ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमेव वन्दनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव वन्दनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव वन्दनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्
Good afternoon to respected Chief Guest, Mr. Sanchayan Jana, Principal Sir, Mr. Chef Anand Mitra Sir. Special thanks to Abhinav Sir for arranging this meeting, members and all dear students. Today, Artemis Best, final year student of HA, got this opportunity to introduce our chief guest, Mr. Sanchayan Jana.
Thank you, Chemist. And thank you, everyone, for joining in and giving me this opportunity to introduce myself and a little bit about what I do. And we'll talk about bartending, different aspects of bartending. We'll also talk about little bit of histories, how it all started, this bartending, and process of brewing or distilling alcohol. So we'll talk about many things, bit and nuts.
But first, let us hear your introduction, Mr. Jana.
Yes.
Let us hear your introduction first. Thank you.
Mr. Sanchayan.
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Sanchayan runs a company called Bittersweet Hospitality. Under this, they do online branding course, bar consultancy, and brand consultancy. Mr. Sanchayan owns a cafe and cloud kitchens in Gurgaon. He started his career back in 2012 in Hyatt Regency Kolkata as a waiter. He discovered bartenders are the most creative person in F&B service. Started learning from the scratch, and that's the beginning of his life. After that, he never stopped and looked back. Worked in many reputed organizations such as the Oberoi and Trident Gurgaon, Agni, the Park New Delhi, Beverage Innovation Manager, North India Monin. He worked as brand head / corporate beverage manager at Olive Bar and Kitchen Limited, Biggie Hospitality, and Big Fish Ventures, and handling the beverage operation of their all outlets in Delhi and NCR. His last project was with ITC Hotels Limited, where he was the past of beverage task force and was curating cocktail program for all ITC luxury collection hotels in India. If we talk about his education, he's graduated from IHM Bhubaneswar. If I talk about his work experience, he's the founder of Bittersweet Hospitality. He worked as corporate mixologist, Big Fish Ventures, ex-head mixologist, ITC Maratha Mumbai, beverage innovation manager, North India, Monin, head prankster and Pranks, bar supervisor, Trident Gurugram, corporate beverage manager, Olive Bar and Kitchen, senior associate in Park Hotels. If I talk achievements, from the beginning, he had a good understanding of flavors. He utilized them mixing with other ingredients and participated many competitions and won them. Some glimpse of his achievements are Sugar Signature Bartending Competition 2019, Most Innovative Bartender Gold 2018, Glenfiddich Most Experimental Bartender 2018. His achievements include Delhi Cocktail Week Most Innovative Bartender 2014, War of Spirits 2014 Delhi NCR, Glenfiddich Most Experimental Bartender 2018 National Finalist, Innovative Bartender Gold 2018 by Mixology Flair Camp, Bacardi Legacy 2018 National Finalist, Most Innovative Bartender Silver 2019 by Mixology, Beluga Signature Bartending Competition winner 2019 India and represented India in Russia along with other countries where he got fourth in global.
Very good.
So once again, IHM may welcome you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Timis. That was a quite great presentation. I hope everyone can see my screen, right? My screen is visible.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you everyone for coming, and little bit of myself. I am Sunshine, and I think he has already given a brief introduction of myself. Still, I have started this career around 10 years back. I joined in Hyatt Agency as a waiter. After a few months working, I really didn't enjoy my work. So in that time I realized that bartenders are one of the most creative person in F&B, and people do a lot of respect them because of their creativity and skill and knowledge. So I thought, let's become try to become a bartender, and that's how it all started around 10 years back. And post that I have worked with the Park hotels. I was working with the Oberoi for 3.5 years. My last working venture was with ITC hotels, where I was curating cocktail program for all the ITC hotels and everything. And bit of about my company, I just formed a few months back, and in that that is called Bittersweet Hospitality. In that we do online bar education, cocktail programs. We do brand consulting. We do bar consultancy as well, and we do have a small cafe and a cloud kitchen. So before I start my presentation, I would like to take you through a bit and nuts about my journey, so that later on when I talk about our career perspective about bartending, so that you can easily relate onto this, right?
Yeah.
So this was, I'll share in few pictures. So this was in Oberoi when I started doing the bartending and everything. And my first cocktail competition, the first picture is my first cocktail competition, Morning Cup in 2013, where I became the first runner-up. So when I participated my first cocktail competition and I became the first runner-up, that time I realized that I have something in me which I definitely do better than others. So that's how I choose this line, and I become more confident about choosing this path as my career perspective. And then I think he has already Timish already have shared a lot of competition I have participated, and keep going forward. So like this is few pictures from Daily Cocktail Week. Then I joined Beverage Innovation Manager or a brand manager for Monin, which is a gourmet syrup company from France. It actually helps me to grow and let me try my innovation at its best, because it helps me to travel throughout the country and also in different countries where I can go meet other bartenders, see different going what kind of trend is going on over there. So that's how I traveled all over the world, and I try my giving innovation helps me to travel throughout the country, and also then it is a little bit of Bacardi legacy, where in 2018 I was on the national parties. And last but not the least, this one in 2019, where I participated in Beluga Signature and I won the India part. Then I have been to Russia for my global final, where I became fourth. So that is a bit on my and my company's portfolio. So we'll start with a bit of history. Histories are always interesting, and good to know some facts about it. So let's start with the fermenting process. What is fermenting process or a brewing process? Like how it all started, how people started making alcohols. So fermented beverages existed in Egyptian civilization, and one of the first people, those who have started producing or brewing this alcohol, was China around 7000 BC, where they were fermenting fruits with honey and some spices, with rice, of course. And then in India also we can see there was a fermented beverage called sura, which was distilled from rice and grapes and was there between 3000 to 2000 BC. I'll share a quick video which will take you through a bit of histories. You guys can hear it, right?
Where residue in clay pots has revealed that people were making an alcoholic beverage from fermented rice, millet, grapes, and honey. Within a few thousand years, cultures all over the world were fermenting their own drinks. Ancient Mesopotamians and Egyptians made beer throughout the year from stored cereal grains. This beer was available to all social classes, and workers even received it in their daily rations. They also made wine, but because the climate wasn't ideal for growing grapes, it was a rare and expensive delicacy. By contrast, in Greece and Rome, where grapes grew more easily, wine was as readily available as beer was in Egypt and Mesopotamia. Because yeasts will ferment basically any plant sugars, ancient peoples made alcohol from whatever crops and plants grew where they lived. In South America, people made chicha from grains, sometimes adding hallucinogenic herbs. In what's now Mexico, pulque, made from cactus sap, was the drink of choice, while East Africans made banana and palm beer. And in the area that's now Japan, people made sake from rice. Almost every region of the globe had its own fermented drinks. As alcohol consumption became part of everyday life, some authorities latched onto effects they perceived as positive. Greek physicians considered wine to be good for health, and poets testified to its creative qualities. Others were more concerned about alcohol's potential for abuse. Greek philosophers promoted temperance. Early Jewish and Christian writers in Europe integrated wine into rituals, but considered excessive intoxication a sin. And in the Middle East, Africa, and Spain, an Islamic rule against praying while drunk gradually solidified into a general ban on alcohol. Ancient fermented beverages had relatively low alcohol content, at about 13% alcohol. The byproducts wild yeasts generate during fermentation become toxic and kill them. When the yeasts die, fermentation stops and the alcohol content levels off. So for thousands of years, alcohol content was limited. That changed with the invention of a process called distillation. 9th century Arabic writings describe boiling fermented liquids to vaporize the alcohol in them. Alcohol boils at a lower temperature than water, so it vaporizes first. Capture this vapor, cool it down, and what's left is liquid alcohol much more concentrated than any fermented beverage. At first, these stronger spirits were used for medicinal purposes. Then, spirits became an important trade commodity because, unlike beer and wine, they didn't spoil. Rum made from sugar harvested in European colonies in the Caribbean became a staple for sailors and was traded to North America. Europeans brought brandy and gin to Africa and traded it for enslaved people, land, and goods like palm oil and rubber. Spirits became a form of money in these regions. During the Age of Exploration, spirits played a crucial role in long-distance sea voyages. Sailing from Europe to East Asia and the Americas could take months, and keeping water fresh for the crews was a challenge. Adding a bucket of brandy to a water barrel kept water fresh longer because alcohol is a preservative that kills harmful microbes. So by the 1600s, alcohol had gone from simply giving animals a buzz to fueling global trade and exploration, along with all their consequences. As time went on, its role in human society would only get more complicated. Tracing the history of our industry and agriculture gives us a fascinating look at what we value as a species and how we've ended up where we are today. Check out these two lessons for a super.
So yeah, that's how it all started. Any kind of fruits or any kind of grains which has sugar or let's say carbohydrate in it, if you break them out and put it into hot boiling water, so in the form of barley or let's say any fruits, it has sugars, and then there are microscopic bacterias and enzymes which are live in those water, and they start reacting with this yeast and sugar, and that's how, as a by process, they take out or create alcohol. So that's how fermentation started. People started understanding what the process exactly is, and each and every country was making their own kind of spirits or fermenting beverages, whatever available to them. Like the places which having growing a lot of grapes, those who are making wines, those having lot of barley, millet, rice, etc., they are making beer out of it. Someone was making fruit wines from the available fruits they have. So that's how it started actually.
Wonderful. Mr. Jana, I would like to request you for a small break here.
Yeah,
I would like to
sure.
launch a poll. Let me see what the attendees have understood. Can I
Absolutely.
launch the polls?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. To all the people in this meeting, I have launched a poll. I expect you to answer honestly. Mr. Abhishek Charles Peter may kindly remove this fellow Pranjal, what's his name?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Uh, Three questions in the poll. Please answer quickly because we still have to get on with the meeting. %27 voting. Mr. Sanchayan and all the members in the panel will not be able to vote. This voting is only for the attendees, but they can see the process, they can see the results.
Right.
Hurry up, people. Only 48% so far.
Yeah, like
Come on, people, hurry up. We have 50 people in the meeting. How long does it take to answer 3 simple questions? Hurry up. Okay, I'm going to end the poll in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and end. Let me share the results. What is the name of the chief guest of today's meeting? 86% people said Mr. Sanchayan Jana, which is correct. The second question was, post of the speaker of today's meeting in Bittersweet Hospitality is, and 46% people replied correctly, founder and owner. And the third question was, what is the name of the student who introduced the speaker? 71% said it was Timish. Good. I'm stopping sharing the results. Back to you, Mr. Sanchayan. Please carry on.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So now we'll just see how the history of bartending has started. So earlier day when people was trying to make let's say fermented beverages or distilling any kind of beverage or making local spirits in each and every country. Uh, that time the spirit or the producing alcohol what they were making was not very palatable. It was cheap, it was crude because there was no perfect process or method of making those alcohol. So there was a man in New York called Jeremy, or in short form we call it Jerry P. Thomas, who was an American bartender who owned few bars in New York City. Because of his pioneering work and popularizing cocktail culture across the United States, he considered as the father of mixology. So what this guy started doing, because the alcohol was cheap, crude, it was not very palatable, not enjoyable, drinking neat or with water, let's say. So what this guy started doing, whatever he could get in his bar, like let's say juices, spices, fruits, he started doing experimental while making cocktails out of it. So mixing different ingredients such as spices, fruits, different kind of juices with different kind of alcohol, and that's how cocktail culture have started in New York City and slowly spread across the world. Okay. Now there are two terms. I'm sure all of, I mean, few of you maybe you've heard bartending. Everyone knows bar. Everyone knows bartender. Everyone knows. Maybe mixology. There is also a term called mixologist and or mixology. So how bartending and mixology is different from each other? So I'll not go very deep to just to know about the basics. It's just to make you understand the difference between a cook and a chef is the difference between a bartender and a mixologist, right? A bartender is a first step towards becoming a mixologist, so it is more on a learning process. Let's say when you become a chef, before going to chef you need to do study, you need to do a lot of hard work, you need to put your passion and hard work towards being a chef. So first you need to know those basics and you need to learn those. So that's how a bartender is also the first step towards becoming a mixologist, where you need to learn all the knowledges, you need to gather all the bar basics, follow the rules and SOPs that has been given to you by your seniors or your teachers. So you need to follow that. First 2 3 years is very important. If you don't focus on first 2 3 years, then it will be very difficult for you to go further. Where a mixologist is responsible for the entire bar operation, from designing a bar or a concept of the bar, doing complete research and development, creating menus, giving training to their staffs, making SOPs. Everything comes under a head mixologist. Basically, if you go to a good bar, that reflects a skill and knowledge of a good mixologist or a good bar manager.
A bartender's job
Head,
is very similar to that of a chef.
right.
It's very
So
similar to
it
that of
is.
a chef. I realized this much earlier on. When I was in Mumbai, my best friend was the bartender of the Oberoi's, and I got a chance
Okay.
to stay in the bar a lot. Whenever I used to get free time, I used to go to the Oberoi's bar and I used to sit with my friend. He was the senior captain. Senior
Okay.
captain at that time used to be the whole soul in charge. So
Yes,
we used to
absolutely.
sit together. He used to show me so many things, and which is why I've also requested you to share some recipes with my students.
Definitely.
Hmm.
So yeah, so when we go for hiring a mixologist or something like that, then we'll always look that he has at least 4 5 years of experience being senior bartender or being bar supervisor, and have a very good knowledge about the current trends, what the trends are going in the industry, what kind of cocktails are going in, and should have a good creative mind, to start making his own invention in those outlets. So but when we hire a bartender for a bar, we'll always check his basic understandings about the bar, about the knowledge about the spirits, cocktails, and wines, and have a good attitude towards learning. So we don't look forward to having a creativity in a bartender. Bartender, we need the basic thing, like he should know about the basics of the bartending, and then we will make them grow to become a mixologist. So how bar industry has been evolved in a decade. So now standing on 2021, but 1 year already taken by this pandemic. So but India has grown up very fast within a decade, and now we are almost in a situation where really good bars and those who are making mark in the international uh, bartending culture as well. And now there are so many facilities and resources as well, like training in school, beverage programs, certifications, cocktail competitions. These are the programs where if you enroll yourself, you get to know so many new things, and it actually evolves your personality and as well as your knowledge in that. But talking about 10 years back when I was passing out of my college, that I mean this kind of bartending culture and everything was not so prominent, and there was not so many bartending programs, and certifications were not that time was not available that time. So if you pursue your career in this industry, apart from being a head bartender or a mixologist, there are also a lot of opportunities which you can pursue your career for. You can become a beverage manager, you can become a beverage operation manager, or corporate or a head bartender of any organization. Let's say I also worked for a few corporate companies where I used to run multiple outlets. So I used to look after 4 5 bars at a time, because so I was looking after their menu development, from training their bartenders to everything. You can become a wine sommelier if you have good understanding about your wines. Of course, there are few certifications you need to complete that to become a wine sommelier. You can become a brand ambassador. So brand ambassadors are those persons who hired by different renowned liquor brands, and then you become a brand ambassador for them, and you travel the whole world and go meet people, take trainings on the based brand, go to different outlets or hotels and do trainings and other stuffs. So you can go for that as well. You can become a brand head or a key account manager, business development manager. You can become brewmaster at any brewery, or start making your own beer. There are a lot of small beer ventures has been grown up in Goa nowadays. So you can do a brewmaster course, and after that, if you can start open your own ventures as well. You can become a master blender at a distillery, or you can become a beverage instructor at any bar schools like bartending schools, right? Or you can open your own startup, bar consulting, brand consulting, such as we do also. And the list keep going on. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities nowadays in this industry. Now, how Indian crafted spirits, putting their leg in the international market, right? Nowadays, if you heard, there are a lot of Indian crafted spirits. Let's say whether it is crafted gin, Indian single malts, good quality Indian wines, good crafted beers. Everything is nowadays India is scope up with the international market, and really coming up with great quality of spirits. So Indian alcohol market is drastically changing now, since we have the second biggest population, and the alcohol is one of the most prime medium of socialization. So all big international brands are also investing a lot of money and coming into India, for its alcohol business. And same, if you see, 8 to 10 years back, India has nothing to offer like in international market. They were only producing cheap crude, whiskeys, rums, and beers, not really palatable and not in a good quality. But now if you say, there are so many good quality single malts, those who are making mark in the international market, such as Rampur single malt, Amrut single malt from Bangalore, Paul John from Goa, and gins. So India is now going through a gin revolution. There are more than 10 crafted Indian gin brands has came up from India in last just 4 years. So it all started with Greater Than, which started distilling its own crafted gin in Goa in 2017, and now we are standing in 2021, and we have more than 10 good quality crafted gin brands in India, those who are really good. There are also a few crafted beer companies like Moonshin Madri, Goa Brewing Company, White Rhino, Simba, White Owl. These are the fantastic Indian craft beers, right? So India is coping up with the international market and making really good quality, products nowadays.
Good to know.
And what industry demands now, or maybe a few guidelines to become a successful or maybe expert area, is first 2 3 years you have to be very focused to your career. You need to do a lot of study. Yes, there are a lot of study involved to becoming, whether you're going for a bartender or whether you're going for a chef. You need to become your top in terms of knowledge. you have to gain those, you have to study a lot of books to understand what actually you need to go when you go to a field, right? So learn as much as knowledge and learning you can gather. Keep yourself up to date with industry. Nowadays you have internet in your phone, you know keep studying about the industry. Go to Instagram, you can find a lot of good bartenders, those you can follow. You can follow them, you can learn recipes out of them. They are keep updating a lot of cocktail recipes, videos, and a lot of industry news also they are putting, so you can follow them so that you can up to date with the industry, so that when you are going for an interview nowadays, also a lot of bars and hotels, they ask like what kind of trend right now is going on in the industry, so you need to cope up with those trends as well. At times you get also success, but it is very very recommended that always be humble and grounded. That is what I have learned from my past experience. So yes, of course, and failure is not an option. It is an investment of your time and your patience of, or maybe money, towards your success. Yeah, so we also in Bittersweet Hospitality, we do, apart from bar or brand consulting and doing our own cafe and uh, cloud kitchens, what we also do is bar education. So what we also help doing a lot of colleges with, we are I think right now we are tied up with 3 colleges already, and we are doing a lot of bartending course nowadays also. They are in different stages like basic, advanced, pro. So there are different levels of bartending course, so if you want you can definitely uh, cope up with them, and you can definitely go for them. So little bit about what kind of bartending course nowadays going on. So what we do in our advanced bartending session, we talk about so right now what we are doing is 1 month course, because it is online nowadays, and we do it on Zoom only. So there are, in 1 month there are total 11 sessions. Each and every session is dedicated to different kind of topics which have been covered in those sessions. Each and every session is almost 1 and 1.5 hour, plus there are 30 minutes of Q&A in case you have any doubts to clear out at the end of the session. So the topics we clear out in those sessions are like history of alcohol and evolution of mixed drinks, how alcohol has been invented, and then how it came and reached to where we are standing with lot of cocktails, how it is been made and everything. And then India's contribution towards producing craft cocktails, the old world of whiskey and new world of whiskey. So when you talk about old world of whiskey, we talk about Scotch whiskey, we talk about Irish whiskey, we talk about American whiskey, right? But nowadays there are a lot of great countries which are producing great kind of single malts. Let's say Japan, let's say India, Taiwan, Australia. They are coming up with really good quality of whiskey. So we do a comparison on that. Then we talk about different styles of cocktail. Let's say there are, if you go through deeper, there are different, only there are only, that is that there is no names. I mean, there are different styles which also you need to study, like sling, juleps, highballs, like that. So there are different styles of cocktail and new age glasswares, different kind of new age garnishes which nowadays going on, how to make them. We talk about that. Then nowadays a lot of bars and hotels are making their own homemade liquids like syrups, homemade infusions with different kind of alcohol. We talk about that also. Then we talk about club cocktails, how bartending competitions, and to participate, and what are the rules, what are the criteria. Nowadays bartending competitions are there which you need to enroll to become a good bartender, and you really, if you win or lose, it doesn't matter, but you gain such rewards out of these competitions every time you go and participate. If you lose also, that doesn't matter, but you really earn a lot of knowledge out of it. And most you being socialized with other bartenders and started learning and making friendship with them and started learning like what exactly happening in the industry. Then we also learn about inventories and cost controlling in your business. Once you become a bartender, then also you need to think apart from many things which is involved in running a good profitable bar. So then also we learn about the roles and responsibilities of different hierarchy levels like a bartender, bar supervisor, bar manager, beverage manager, head mixologist. So every position has a different hierarchy and roles and responsibility. If you don't know those roles and responsibility, it is very difficult for you to opt for it. So that is there as well. Uh, this is a bit which we do this kind of courses in Bittersweet Hospitality. You can other participants if they have any questions on bartending or any kind of questions they have, they can definitely ask, and it will be a more of an interactive session so that they have any kind of questions they can put down on the chat box, or maybe they can ask here. We'd be happy to hear them and try to answer them.
Yes, thank you for making it interactive.
Guys, any kind of questions? Related relation to bar, cocktails, industry, F&B. If you have any queries, any doubts, questions you want to ask, please feel down or ask.
Come on, students, ask
So,
questions.
Chirag,
This is
please
your
suggest
golden
any good
chance.
bartending schools in India.
Yeah, there's one
Yes,
question.
Chirag, there are good bartending schools in India. In Delhi, there are quite a few. There are quite a few. We also do apart from us. Right now, we do only on because of the pandemic, and most of the bartending schools are not operating due to pandemic. There are few schools right now in India, those who are doing online courses, such as Bittersweet Hospitality. Apart from that, I think European bartending school from Goa and Pune, they are also doing online bartending course. But if you say offline, there are few bartending schools in Delhi, Mumbai, and Goa as well.
So please, you can you repeat again? Your voice is breaking.
Okay. Uh, so I'm saying there are a lot of cocktail schools or bartending schools, those who does bartending courses in India. But right now, because of pandemic, most of them are closed. Only Bittersweet Hospitality, which is us, and one other, which is European Bartending School, which is in Goa and Pune. They also do online bartending course. Apart from them, there are no such other colleges, those who are doing online. But offline, if you search in internet, there are a lot of like Cocktail and Dreams, Sandy's, uh, European Bartending School also has their own offline schools too. So there are few. Wine sommelier course, from where I can pursue it? Yes. So there is a course called W Set. I'll write down it for you. WSET course. It is a French level of wine course. There are total four levels: one, two, three, four. One is very beginners, then two, three, and four. Once you cross this one, that is a professional one, and then after that you can become a certified wine sommelier. So WACT, you can search it on internet and you can definitely apply.
Put it in the chat.
Yes, I have already write it. Okay, just a minute. Yeah.
WACT course.
So there are four levels you can pursue them. One starts from the very beginner and basic level. Uh, if you can also apply it for after passing out your graduation. You can apply it for first and second is quite easy. You can definitely apply it for. Then certainly once you started working with some other hotels or bars, and keep engaging or developing your skills and knowledge about wines, you can go for third and fourth, and you can become a WSET wine sommelier.
Abhishek Khanna has asked a question. Can you see the question by Abhishek Khanna?
Abhishek Khanna, which is, yeah, no, I think I just got a message from Mohit Gusen. Which one is the better option? Flair bartending and mixology. So, Mohit, flair bartending is nothing but showcasing your skills, but a mixology which you need to become or develop a career pursue for. Like a bartending is more on a juggling and where you throw the bottles. It is more on a showcasing your skills to the world. But there are not much career perspective right now in India on this platform. But having said that, becoming a good mixologist has to have some kind of flaring techniques in his mind as well. So while working, you should do some kind of juggle or kind of a, let's say, a bit of a flair, so that you can attract your guest. That is there. But I would rather suggest than go for a mixology course, which will actually develop your knowledge and skills. And later on, while working in a bar, you can simultaneously go for a small 1 month flair bartending course where you learn the basics, little bit basics about it. You don't need to go very deep into it. But mixology, which one thing would definitely shoot out your career, I mean take you up. Abhishek Khanna, yes. At what extent one should study wine if they have to make a career in bartending? Okay, so wine, if you want to study, definitely one course you should go for, that is WSET. Also, there are other few certifications as CMS. I'll also write down it for everyone. So CMS is also one more course for wine. You can pursue for those. And there are a lot of wine books which you need to study, which will also provided by this kind of certifications. But before you pursue those, I would recommend you can go for some basic wine studies, which will develop you or give you the basic knowledge about wines, like wine regions, French wine, Italian wine, German wines, Indian wines. So there are different regions and different kind of grape varieties is growing in different part of country. So you need to learn all those basics before you apply these kind of courses, because otherwise you will waste your money on that. So it is recommended, if you want to go, you should learn a bit of more basics on those. And for bartending also, if you want to pursue, so bartending and wine sommelier are both are little different from each other. Bartending, where you need to work behind the bar, making drinks, taking care of your guests, those who are sitting, and making your guests happy. But while you being a wine sommelier, you don't need to work behind the bar, but you will be working on a guest floor, maybe in a restaurant or a good kind of a wine bar, where you will go to the guest tables and suggesting them and presenting them wines by showing them the labels, or talking about the wines, which country it comes from, what kind of grapes it used. So it is little different from each other. So if you want to become a wine sommelier, your roles and responsibilities will be different from a bartender. Okay. Any more questions, guys? Okay, as you discussing on bartending, what do you like about bartending? Yes. So best part about myself, I'm talking about my, is interacting with guests. That is the best part of bartending. You can talk to a lot of guests and sharing experience and get to know each other. And once your guests are your friends, it is very easy to handle 12-hour shifts. Trust me. So, if you don't love your job, it is very difficult to pursue a career in this industry, because first 2 3 years it will be very difficult, and the work would be also little difficult for you, and the let's say work hours are little extended too. But once you reach that level, definitely your work hours come down and you have a easy shift to do. You have your own decisions on your hand. You can do whatever you want to do, right? But best part about is talking to guests. And so becoming a good bartender is not who make great cocktails, but one who makes his guest happy. I mean, there is nothing, a good bartender is making good cocktails, but his guests are not happy, then his good drinks are really doesn't matter, right? So you really have to be the uh, top of the chain and becoming a good bartender talking. So for that you need to gain knowledge also. While if someone is drinking a single malt, you should talk about that single malt while sitting in front of him. Or maybe let's say you need to have some basic general knowledges, as well as you should have a good humor or sense of humor, or you should can be a little funny too sometimes, to become little friendly with your guest. Okay, there is a question, what is the basic work of a bartender? So basic work of a bartender is very similar to a basic work of a chef, which also sir told. Like, you go to your work, do your misa first. So misa is very important before going for a busy operation. So you need to go do your misa, you need to study a lot. The SOPs which has been given to your by your seniors, or let's say your bar supervisor or your bar manager, you needs to follow them. uh, so basics of a bartender, where you need to be very precise on your drinks. You need to start making those drinks and make them perfect by making them again and again. So once you are really confident about your drinks, that yes, you can make any drinks I can ask for, then that after that you start developing your creativity skills. One, you are perfect on your basics and the classic cocktails, then you start developing your skills on your creativity. That's where you can become a mixologist from a bartender. How can we start working in a distillery? So, start working in a distillery, it is much later version. So nowadays distilleries doesn't hire anyone those who doesn't have less than at least 10 years of experience in the industry. So if you want to become a distiller, there are different certain courses as well. But apart from them, you need to spend a lot of time in the industry, so that you should know what's happening in the industry, what kind of trends are going on, what kind of spirits are going on, people are drinking nowadays. So it is much more later stage. Also, when they hire a master distiller, there are a lot of technicalities which they look for, like about his nosing skill, about his tasting skills, because these are the most two important things for a master distiller: his nose and his tongue. If he cannot taste his drinks properly and knows it properly, he cannot blend good whiskeys or any kind of spirits together. So it is much more later stage. at least you need to spend good time in the industry to become a part of hospitality and work for a distillery.
Sir,
Yes, please.
So your mic is mute.
Unless there are any other questions, we would like to end this meeting now. Students, any
Abhishek
last
Khanna is
questions?
asking,
If you have any
sir,
questions, please let us know, or you can also follow Bittersweet Hospitality or sunshine.bittersweet on me on Instagram, and you can definitely ask anytime if you have any other questions.
Sir
Yeah.
Abhishek Khanna is, excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please, Temish.
Abhishek Khanna is asking, are there any fundamental ethics of bartending?
Yes, I missed that question. Yes, Abhishek, there are fundamental ethics, there are process, there are recipes, there are classic recipes which you need to know. There are fundamental ethics in that. We talk about learning the classic recipes. There are process, or making the process of cocktails. There are different stages as well which you need to know. So there are a lot of fundamental ethics which you need to know before going for a bartending career.
Okay. I think we are very thankful to you, Mr. Sanchayan. We should end the meeting
Thank you
now.
so much, sir. Yes, it was
Ayan,
great interacting with these
Yes,
kids.
sir.
And
would you like to stop sharing, Mr. Sanchayan?
certainly.
Can I start, sir?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Is my screen visible, sir?
Yes.
Very good afternoon to one and all present in this online session. I, Mohammad Ayan, final year student of IHM Meerut, got this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude and would like to say special thanks to our respected chief guest, Mr. Sanchayan Jana, founder of Bittersweet Hospitality, for taking out his valuable time from his busy schedule and guiding and motivating the students. Secondly, I would like to say thanks to our Honorable Chairman, Sir, Secretary, Sir, Joint Secretary, Sir, CEO, Sir of IHM Meerut for their motivation, guidance, and their blessings on us. Then I would like to express my sincere thanks to our respected Principal, Sir, Chef Professor Anand Mittal, Sir, and Dean, Sir, Mr. Sanjay Kashyap, for arranging such a wonderful and enriching online session for all of us. And this online session is only be possible by their able guidance and motivation. And special thanks to you, Abhinav, sir, for arranging this also. Thank you. Last but not the least, I would like to say thanks to our faculty members for their coordination in this online session. Before ending, I would like to highlight the key points of the speaker. History of alcohol brewing process, then process of preparation and fermentation. Then Mr. Jana told about the history of bartending. It started with fermentation, in which low percentage of alcohol was development. To overcome this issue, distillation come into picture. Then in those days, people used to use alcohol as a preservative. Then Mr. Jana told us about how a bartender and a mixologist are different from each other. Then Mr. Jeremy P. Thomas was the father of American mixology. Then how bar industry has evolved in a decade. Then Mr. Jana told us about the opportunities which we can get in this industry. Then he told us about the international and Indian alcohol market, then guidelines to become successful expert in your area, then courses offered in bittersweet hospitality. Then he told us about the roles and responsibilities of a bartender, Once again, I would like to give my special thanks on behalf of the IHM Meerut family to Mr. Sanchayan Jana for taking out his valuable time and motivating our students. Thank you so much, sir. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.
I would
Thank
like
you.
to end this meeting formally by playing the national anthem. Please stand up, everybody. Let's begin.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
जय हिंद भारत माता की जय
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to
Thank you, everyone.
the God for making this meeting successful. Before we end, just before we end, I would like to request everybody to follow the precautions for COVID and to stay at home, not leave the home unnecessarily, to wear the mask and to observe very good standard of hand hygiene. May God bless all of you. Bye-bye.
थैंक यू सर
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.